So God created humankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Genesis 1:27. Psalm 146:7. Who executes justice for the oppressed? Who gives food to the hungry? The Lord gives freedom to the prisoners. Next one is Isaiah 42:6 and 7. I, the Lord, have called you in righteousness and will hold your hand. I will keep you and give you as a covenant to the people, as a light to the Gentiles, to open blind eyes, to bring out prisoners from the prison, those who sit in darkness from the prison house. Matthew 4:1-11. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. Jesus answered, It is written, Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. Then the devil took him to the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. If you are the Son of God, he said, throw yourself down, for it is written, He will command His angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. Jesus answered him, It is also written, Do not put the Lord your God to the test. Again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. All this I will give you, he said, if you will bow down and worship me. Jesus said to him, Away from me, Satan, for it is written, Worship the Lord your God and serve him only. Then the devil left him, and angels came and attended him. Here ends the reading of the scriptures of the day. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you.
Good job reading.
Yeah, that really was really well read.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Not long ago, within the last week or two, I heard Joe say something. He was walking away from me in the house, and he said something that immediately struck me as a good sermon, especially for Lent. He was referring to achieving a new level of acceptance and letting go of his daughters, in the sense that he'll always love them and pray for them and want them, but a level of acceptance and just letting them go so that he can be at peace. And the way that he said it, not only what he said, but the way that he said it, felt like truth. He said, it's too hard to hold prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he meant? What did you mean?
It's exhausting emotionally.
And what are you holding prisoner?
The idea of a relationship with someone that I can't control.
Mm-hmm.
That's the topic for today. It's perfect for Lent, because a part of what Lent means is letting go of something that chains us, something that is blocking or is a barrier to God reaching us. It's too hard to hold prisoners. What he said to me, as soon as it hit and rung true for me, was he said, emotionally, I've held on and I've been clinging to them since the day they left.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had this image of this. Okay. It's too hard to hold on to somebody that doesn't love us. It's too hard to hold on to somebody to try to control them. And we do that all the time, every day. We try to make someone something or someone that they aren't. And guess what it does to us? What do you think it does to us?
It imprisons us.
It's us.
Mm-hmm.
Makes us sick.
Yeah.
It makes us sick.
Mhm.
That's a real statement. And it's too hard to hold on to God with our expectations and our agendas. And guess what we do every day? We cling to God in a way that suits what we think God should be.
Mm-hmm.
God, I need this and I want it this way. And if I don't get this, or if it doesn't pan out, guess what happens to our faith? It's too hard to restrict God's potential. But we do it. I do it every day. A mind in prison attempts to imprison others. There's a statement. When we are in prison, we put others, including God, in prison. So what does this mean? Let's look at 3 examples. They're kind of everyday common examples. It may or may not fit you exactly, but listen for the message. The first example would be that when we struggle or do not forgive someone who either angers us, hurts us, restricts us, disappoints us, when we don't forgive, we jail and lock up that relationship immediately. We lock it and throw away the key. If somebody hurts us, angers us, disappoints us, they don't live up to what we think they should be, we lock them in a cage in here and throw away the key. Another example, have you ever known, I think of that movie Mother Dearest. Have you ever known, I don't even know if your mother was like this, my mom was not, so I'm not pointing at you, Mom. But this is an example. Let's say there's a mother who is obsessed with always cleaning, right?
I know one of those.
No,
No, my mom.
you're, okay. Well, this is an example. You think of something in the movies, or you know of somebody who's always cleaning and always makes the child clean. So the child is constantly cleaning and cleaning and cleaning their rooms and cleaning the house. And the child doesn't get to be a child enough because there's an obsession, maybe OCD, or maybe there's just something else wrong with Mom that she needs to go through and process, but she doesn't. She just keeps cleaning. I meet people like this regularly. And the child then takes on that behavior and is imprisoned because the child is living the mother's need. Another example, a parent puts their expectations on a child for a certain vocation. So they groom that child to do that job. Or perhaps a lifestyle choice. Let's say that a child decides to be something completely opposite to what a parent really wants for their child. And the parent keeps that child locked in the parent's identity, not the child's. And we find that a lot too. In the psychiatric unit, I find it, but I also find it in pediatrics. And we know that parents don't even know they're doing it. But these are examples, kind of very common actually, examples of how if we're imprisoned in our mind with something, we put that onto someone else. So why do we imprison others? Why do you think? I've got an answer, but I wondered if you had an insight. Why do you think we lock other people up?
Control them.
Yep, it is. And why do we control?
So that we can win.
So that we can win. So that is definitely on the theological, I know I'm having a conversation with a minister. On the theological level, it is love of dominating and winning. And that is probably, at the theological level, that's the top reason, yeah. But psychologically, yes?
People can't control themselves,
Ooh.
so they try to control others. If they can control their own urges, they wouldn't have to try to control somebody else.
Could you
Great
repeat
answer.
that so we could hear?
Yeah, so in other words, we try to control others because we have a hard time controlling ourselves. Very insightful.
I think it's
Yeah.
also trust.
What's that?
Trust.
Trust. Ooh, great answer. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't think of that.
Yeah, because
Yes.
I think in the very beginning, on a parent, because I'm being defensive here, we do it from love.
Yeah,
You know, you
I agree.
you start with your child from the very beginning. You walk with this child from the very beginning
Yeah.
for their whole life, and you want to protect them. It's
Absolutely.
out of protection,
Yep,
and you cannot help yourself. You just, it's love,
Well,
but you can't let go.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And you decide that I've got to trust that what I've given them, the roots that I've given them, that they can grow and they're gonna be all right.
absolutely.
But you just.
I think most of us don't even realize that we're imprisoning other people. Did you want to say?
Yeah. I think people make a confusion between the ego and the false self, because you need an ego to coordinate yourself, but you also have to confront your false images. And I think this is one of the ways in which people in organized religions become authoritarian. Because if you give up
Yeah.
your ego, which
That's
coordinates, thinking it's yourself, false self, then they can control you because you don't have your own coordination in yourself.
Yeah, and that's kind of where Joe, his comment too, I think that's very
It's
true.
pounded into us.
I believe that's true. Now, all of that, I love that you've spoken these things because these are thoughts I have not thought. And so I'll add my thought to the mix for our reflection for Lent, which is we humans hold others prisoner, and God, and ourselves. We hold prisoners because it temporarily relieves suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So as long as we focus our attention out there, guess what happens over here?
Yeah.
We're safe. We're safe. Yeah, we don't have to deal with it.
It is a relief. And again, we don't know we're doing it. Controlling other people soothes our suffering, but that's temporarily. We even hold our inner child prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
We have a child inside of us, and this is from what I have remembered with my counseling lately. We have a child that either storms off in a temper tantrum, or we have a child that needs to cry. We have a child that needs to play. We have a child that needs to sing, that needs to skip and play in the dirt. We have this beautiful child inside of us, but we also hold our child prisoner. We don't let that child come out. And there's the magic and the mystery of God living in us. You must become like a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. But we hold that child prisoner, and we tell that child not to cry, and we tell that child, you need to go work, you can't go sing or play, those are all the different intrapsychic and psychosocial ways and spiritual, theological ways that we make prison in this life. And the side effects are not worth it. The side effect, and here's a really big one if you've ever wondered why, when we hold others prisoner and we hold God prisoner and we hold ourselves prisoner, the side effect is that people start to move away from us. Ever so slowly, we realize that our connections aren't warm and they aren't consistent, and we don't have the intimacy and the growth factor that's so exciting, which is why I love church. We grow together, we bounce off each other, we react to each other, we love each other, we pray for each other. But if we're holding each other prisoner and we have expectations and we don't live up to what the other person is doing or being, slowly people start to move away and we feel lonely. M. Scott Peck talks about this in one of his books. Be careful if you notice that people are moving away, or be careful if you want to move away from someone else. Just notice that dynamic, because it may be that we have too tight a hold on that person. It's not worth it. But in Lent, this is an opportunity for self-reflection, awareness, faith awareness, accountability to God. Accountability to God and to ourselves for the highest good. We sometimes try to make other people more like us. And we don't treat each other like separate people, like separate individuals. At the deepest level, we are all one. We are all one. But at the earthly plane level, we are distinct and autonomous. And we're supposed to be unique and creative and different from each other, and to celebrate that. We get in trouble sometimes when we expect each other to be something that we're not. Let's celebrate that. It's not worth it to hold prisoners. Life is too short. Life is too precious. And we can only truly be happy when we're free. When we hold prisoners, we're not giving life to people. We're choking the life out of them. And we're taking life from them. And again, we don't realize we're doing it. Especially during Lent, it's important to realize that not realizing our effect on other people is part of a dark force working in us that we can learn from. Goodness wants to be aware. God in us seeks light. Remember, God takes no prisoners. God holds no prisoners. God gives us a lot of freedom. And that's a good thing, but we go far away sometimes. But God will give us freedom. And so that means, because you're created in the image and likeness of God, that the deepest part of who you are, your identity, the very deepest part of who you are, wants to give people freedom. The deepest part of who you are needs to be free. So, the invitation during Lent is to catch ourselves in a loving spirit. Are we clinging? Are we pushing people away? Are we trying to hold on too tight? Try setting people free this Lent. And you'll be amazed at what Easter morning feels like. Because you'll have a much more practical, real sense of what resurrection actually means. So when we exhibit a degree of self-sacrifice, that's what I'm asking you to do this Lent. The infinite goodness of your soul will manifest, and your perspective will widen. Do not force, let go. Life becomes so rich. So letting go means cleansing, reflection, turning, shifting, acknowledging, owning, facing the wilderness, fears released, joy expands, transformation, renewal. All these things come in their own way to us when we let go of the reins. Now I'm going to say that list one more time as our concluding reflection. And I'd like you to notice which one of the words speaks to you today. And I'd like you to take that word to communion. Okay? Take that word that resonates for you. Cleansing. Reflection. Turning. Shifting. Acknowledging. Facing the wilderness. Fears released. Joy expand. Transforming. Renewing. Amen.
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 Oh, man.